Hi, I'm Dr. Paul. Today at Live on Purpose TV, the top 10 ways to make better decisions. Top 10 ways to make better decisions. Let's jump right in. Number 10, be humble. Don't assume that you have all of the answers already. If you do, you will not be open to the new possibilities that might well be the best answer or the best decision for you to make. So number 10, be humble. Coming in today at number 9 is consider default. Consider default. What do I mean by that? Whether you do something or not, whether you make a decision or not, something is going to happen, isn't it? Consider default simply means ask yourself, what would happen if I did not decide? If I didn't make a decision, what would happen? And then consider that as one of the valid options. This will illuminate a lot of things to you and probably help get you back on track with why you need to make this decision in the first place. Number 8, buy some time. Time pressure sometimes causes us to make very poor decisions. And if we feel pressured into something, we're not using the full resources of our amazing mind to make that decision in the first place. So buy some time. See what you can do to get a little space between you and the decision. You know, a good example of this, I work with couples a lot, here in the office or online or with the products that I offer. And sometimes these couples are at a point where they have to decide. They have to decide. Are they going to stay together or are they going to break up? Okay, big decision, right? And usually they feel some pressure. Oh, I got to figure this out. I got to know this. Yes, they do, but not right now. Okay? And your big decisions are probably like that too. Yes, you need to make the decision. Do you need to make it right this minute? Probably not. You can see that it's coming, but buy some time for yourself. Tell yourself, you know, in the next few days, I will make this decision, but I've got some time. And that relieves some of the pressure from your mind. Buy some time. Coming in today at number 7, expand your options. This is where we get to break out of the either or thinking. I gave you an example when we were talking about number 8. You know, like about a couple who's thinking, well, either we're going to stay together or we're going to break up. Either or. Well, are there some other options? Let's expand our options and see if we can come up with a third or a fourth or a fifth option. You don't want to go a whole lot farther than that because then your mind starts to get overwhelmed with too many choices. But you do want more than 2 options. We want to break out of the either or and see if we can consider, well, what else might be an option here? Instead of either we're going to stay together or we're going to break up, how about, well, we're going to do a trial period where we do some things differently and see what happens before we make that other decision. Or we're going to engage in a process that allows us to learn some more things about ourselves so that we can make a better decision. See, open up, expand the options. That's number 7. Now, number 6, these are getting more exciting as we go. Number 6 is to do some research. We live in the information age. Use it. You can Google or YouTube or find information out there from people who have already handled similar decisions to what it is that you're trying to make here. Access that information. Do some research. Look at what has happened when people have chosen different things. Try to project what might happen if you were to make certain choices. Do your diligence. Do your research. Access the information. That's number 6. Now moving up to number 5. Sleep on it. You've heard this before, right? Let me sleep on it. Let me think about that for a while. Now, sleep on it carries a couple of other assumptions. Sleep is a time when certain parts of our brain shut down. They don't also shut down. If they all shut down, you would die. But certain parts of our brain shut down, especially the executive functioning parts of our brain that have us working on problems and trying to solve things and doing this thing intentionally. That's all executive functioning. All that shuts down when you go to sleep. But there's other parts of your brain that are going to keep working on this. And you've had dreams, right? Dreams are a manifestation often of our brain continuing to work on something while we're asleep. Sleep on it gives you a chance to access those different parts of your brain. Now you might want to keep something near your bedside to capture an idea if it occurs to you. Like when you first wake up in the morning and you realize, you know what, I've been dreaming about this decision that I had to make and whatever. Jot down what occurred to you because it's not going to stay very long. You're going to forget about it as you get up and get your shower and get moving on with your day. Jot it down because those important insights that come to you when your brain's in a very different mode help you to actually make better decisions. Coming in at number 4, I got this idea from a book that I listened to on Audible called Decisive by Dan and Chip Heath. Lots of great ideas there if you want to connect to that. And here's the one that I picked up on. I think they called it the rule of tens. I've done my own little adaptation of that. Just think in terms of backing off from this decision in increments of 10. So you ask yourself, if I were to make this decision, whatever the decision is, how would I feel? What would things look like in 10 minutes? Probably won't be that different, right? What would things look like in 10 hours? What would things look like in 10 days, in 10 weeks, in 10 months, in 10 years? Taking that kind of a perspective on the different decisions that you're considering can really help you to get a handle on what is the immediate emotional response that I'd have to that? What is the longer term effects that would have on me? And I've found that to be a really effective way to make better decisions. Use the rule of tens. Now that leads us right into number 3, which is to get a higher perspective. And for this one, what I would suggest is that you picture yourself being lifted or maybe lifting off like you're in a rocket or an airplane from this place where you are down on the ground with the problem and going up to 1,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 20,000 feet. What does this problem look like from way up here? Sometimes when you picture that in your own mind, you can see that this problem is a very isolated thing. And there's a lot of things going on around it, but with the perspective of being in the middle of it, you don't see it so well. So that number 3 is about getting a perspective and coming up in elevation to where you can look at that problem from a higher perspective and then keep it in perspective as a result. Now, number 2, consult. Consult with people who have reasons to know, people who have experience. You've got an amazing human treasury. The answer to any problem, I believe this strongly, the answer to any problem is a conversation away. Maybe you don't know anyone who has direct experience with the problem that you're dealing with. But within a relationship or two, you can get to someone who does have experience and knowledge and expertise. In an earlier step, we talked about the information age and how we got to use the resources that are around us. The most powerful resources are the people who have experience and knowledge that you don't have yet. Access that and consult. That's number 2. And that brings us to number 1. One of my favorites because I'm a psychologist. Number 1, turn your brain on. Now, your brain is always on, but different parts of your brain do different things. I'm talking about the part of your brain that is in charge of making good decisions. I want to contrast that with the part of your brain that is in charge of keeping you alive. Those are very different tasks. And the part of your brain that is in charge of keeping you alive is constantly looking for threats. Okay? And anytime it picks up a threat, it kicks you into the fight or flight response. That's not the most optimal part of your brain to use for making good decisions, unless you're in an immediate threat. We want to turn on and activate that part of your brain that helps you to do some clear thinking, to consider all of the options, to weigh out the pros and cons, the considerations that are necessary so that you can make some great decisions. And you do this by taking care of yourself. You do this by having a good diet, by getting enough sleep, by regular exercise. You want to take care of the equipment. And it's really important at this stage to stay positive. And that's where I would invite you to just spend a little more time on this channel and see what else you can find that is relevant to taking care of you so that you can turn that brain on and make some great decisions. You're already making good decisions. I'm glad you made the decision to be here with us. Please share these episodes with someone you think would benefit.